The Angel Reese-Caitlin Clark rivalry is stepping into a whole new arena. Back when Caitlin Clark signed her massive $28 million Nike deal, fans couldn't stop buzzing. She was still in college, and her stardom skyrocketed. However, there was a promise in that deal, a signature shoe. Fast forward to now, the brand has announced it won't be dropping until 2026. And let's just say, fans are not thrilled. On the flip side, Angel Reese signed with a multi-year endorsement extension in October, and is already paying off big time. Did you know Reebok's parent company, Authentic Brands Group, is worth a whopping $18 billion? That means the Chi-Town Barbie is aligning herself with some serious financial muscle. And like Clark, Reese will also have to wait until 2026 for her signature sneaker, but her PEs, player exclusives, are already out, and they are fire. From a Chicago sky-themed design featuring her bold A logo, to a playful Barbie pink pair with Barbie splashed across the upper, they are super eye-catching. Each pair is funky, stylish, and full of personality, just like Reese herself. Fans are eating it up, and Sky Forward is having fun with it, teasing on social media, these are only PEs. Wait until 2026 and my actual shoe comes out. If these PEs are any indication, her signature shoe is going to be a home run. Meanwhile, Clark's fans are getting restless. Nike's CEO, Elliott Hill, revealed during a Q2 earnings call that her signature shoe wouldn't hit the market until 2026, sparking frustration and even anger among her loyal followers. Fans feel like Nike is dragging its feet, and the backlash is growing louder by the day. After a wrist injury cut her rookie WNBA season short, Reese is now gearing up for the highly anticipated debut of the Unrivaled League, a groundbreaking 3x3 women's basketball league set to kick off in January 2025, and she's not taking any chances. To prepare, Reese has enlisted elite trainer David Alexander. If his name rings a bell, it's because he's trained some of the biggest names in sports, including LeBron James. Alexander shared a clip of their session, captioning it. And Reese isn't just hitting the gym, she's putting in marathon hours off the court too. Earlier this week, she gave fans a sneak peek into her life, sharing a Snapchat story from an 8-hour shoot. "Let the 8HR shoot begin," she wrote, looking a little tired but absolutely determined. So here we are, both Reese and Clark gearing up for a 2026 sneaker showdown. Reese's flashy PEs are already building hype, while Clark's delayed shoe has left her fans frustrated with Nike. When 2026 rolls around, this rivalry isn't just going to be about hoops. It's going to be about who can own the sneaker game. Who do you think is going to win? Let us know in the comments below. A significant drop in girls' basketball participation has forced one of Nebraska's largest high schools to cancel its varsity team for the year. The decision by Grand Island Senior High School, which stands as the state's third largest with over 2,600 students, exemplifies a national trend in the declining numbers of participants in girls' sports. This occurs even as the popularity surrounding figures like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese has surged, drawing impressive crowds to arenas and increasing TV viewership. Similar choices have been made by schools across the nation, yet this does little to ease the heartache felt by those who are deeply passionate about the future of basketball in Grand Island. We've seen the train coming. I mean, we've been sitting on the tracks forever. But frankly, people just didn't want to do the heavy lifting that was required, lamented Jeremy Jensen, a former Grand Island mayor and high school soccer coach. highlighting the need for a long-term vision to establish a robust girls' basketball program. What's happening in Grand Island? The school, located in a primarily blue-collar city of 52,000 residents, approximately 120 miles, 190 kilometers, west of Omaha, made the tough choice to cancel both its varsity and junior varsity teams this season, due to a lack of juniors or seniors showing interest in the sport. After facing several lopsided defeats, and with many young athletes opting to specialize in a single sport, the school opted to focus on nurturing younger players instead of fielding a team predominantly made up of freshmen and sophomores. While this decision was shocking amidst a burgeoning interest in college and professional women's basketball, driven significantly by the tremendous success of WNBA star Caitlin Clark, who dazzled records at the University of Iowa, experts in the field express that increased viewership doesn't always translate to increased participation. Kansas State University women's basketball coach Jeff Mittie articulated this sentiment. Certainly, in college, all of our games are on TV, easy for people to find. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're playing the sport. It just means they're interested in watching it. Participation decline. Since Clark's birth 22 years ago, there has been nearly a 20% reduction in girls' high school basketball participation. The sport has fallen from being the most popular to fourth place, overshadowed by volleyball, soccer, and track and field, all of which have seen remarkable increases in participation, according to the National Federation of State High School Associations. Interestingly, while basketball numbers dwindle, total participation in high school sports has grown, with more than 3.4 million girls engaged in high school athletics last year. Impact of losses. Jim Ward, a Grand Island resident, witnessed firsthand how losses affect participation. He observed every player on his oldest daughter's middle school team abandon basketball upon reaching high school, preferring sports like volleyball and wrestling, or simply losing interest due to a stream of heavy defeats. Over recent years, the high school girls' team has faced devastating losses, missing out on victories more often than not. The team recorded 43 defeats out of its last 44 varsity games, and has not achieved more than 3 wins in a season since 2016 to 17, with its last winning season dating back to 2009 to 10. If you're Grand Island, facing formidable opponents from Omaha, who boast athletes destined for Division I scholarships, it becomes increasingly difficult to sustain motivation when the scoreboard reflects an overwhelming gulf in talent, Ward noted. Asking rhetorically, would you want to play longer? Kelly Jeffries, who led Grand Island to its only state championship in 1979 and amassed 231 wins in 33 years as head coach before stepping down in 2012, recognizes that success is achievable in Grand Island, but understands the prevailing challenges. When you're not really able to compete and be competitive, you can see why kids don't want to do it anymore. That's not fun for everyone, for coaches and players and anyone involved, Jeffries remarked. The struggles faced in Grand Island and beyond are multifaceted, extending well beyond the court. In some communities, girls encounter challenges in finding avenues to develop their skills from a young age. Many families are unable to invest the significant time and financial resources needed for club basketball, setting younger athletes back in their development. As competitive pressures mount earlier in age, any girl cut from a grade school team might decide to abandon basketball altogether. Families in Grand Island aiming for their children to excel in club sports often find themselves driving up to 2 hours twice a week to Lincoln or Omaha for practices, only to return for tournaments during weekends. Can the sport recover? Current coach Catherine Langrare seeks to change the narrative by working with middle schoolers and conducting free basketball clinics at the elementary schools throughout the city to establish a robust pipeline of talent for the sport. However, rebuilding remains a formidable challenge, particularly given the prevalent trend of kids specializing in single sports amidst increasing competition. It kind of speaks to the world that we're living in with club sports and specialization of sports, where kids want to participate or are only able to participate in one activity, remarked John Dolliver, who oversees basketball at the Nebraska School Activities Association. Volleyball, in particular, has flourished, increasing visibility on television and social platforms, making the US a powerhouse in the sport. This trend resonates significantly in Nebraska, where both Creighton University and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln compete in the collegiate top 10 rankings. Last year, a world record was set as 92,003 spectators filled the Memorial Stadium in Lincoln for a volleyball match, a historic attendance for a women's sporting event. Brandon Trout shared that his daughter, who excelled at basketball in middle school and grew up alongside her brother Isaac, now a player for Creighton, decided to pursue her love for volleyball at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas instead. I think girls just naturally, especially in Nebraska, gravitate towards volleyball. Volleyball is just very, very good in this state, he expressed. While the rising profiles of players like Clark may inspire a new generation of athletes, parents like Ward remain skeptical. He can envision an 8-year-old passionately declaring her wish to play basketball, only to hear her parents insist she must prioritize volleyball and dance due to their commitments. The Caitlin Clark phenomenon. It's difficult to predict if this will prompt a third grader to switch from volleyball to basketball. I honestly don't know, Ward concluded. 2024, The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten, or redistributed without permission. Plunging participation in girls' basketball led one of Nebraska's largest high schools to cancel its varsity team for the year. The decision by Grand Island Senior High School, the state's third largest with more than 2,600 students, reflects a national decline in participation in the girls' sport, even as the popularity of women's basketball behind the likes of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese has sent record numbers of fans flocking to arenas or tuning in on TV. Schools across the country have made similar choices, but that hasn't made the move any easier for those passionate about Grand Island basketball. We've seen the train coming. I mean, we've been sitting on the tracks forever. But frankly, people just didn't want to do the heavy lifting that was required, said Jeremy Jensen, a former Grand Island mayor and high school soccer coach, who wishes more had been done to build a sustainable girls' basketball program. The high school in the largely blue-collar city of 52,000, about 120 miles, 190 kilometers, west of Omaha, decided to cancel its varsity and junior varsity teams this year after no juniors or seniors went out for the sport. The teams suffered a series of lopsided losses, and with many young athletes choosing to specialize in one sport and other activities competing for girls' time, the school decided to focus on developing young players instead of putting a team of freshmen and sophomores on the court. Still, the school's decision was jarring at a time when college and professional women's basketball has been surging in popularity, partly due to the phenomenal success of WNBA Indiana Fever guard Clark, who set records at the University of Iowa. Kansas State University women's basketball coach Jeff Mittie said more viewers doesn't necessarily mean more players. Certainly in college, all of our games are on TV, easy for people to find. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're playing the sport, Mittie said. It just means they're interested in watching it. Since Clark was born 22 years ago, participation in girls' high school basketball has dropped nearly 20%, and the sport has fallen from most popular to number 4 behind volleyball, soccer, and track and field, which all have seen double-digit surges in participation, according to the National Federation of State High School Associations. Even as the basketball numbers have dropped, total participation in high school sports has grown, with more than 3.4 million girls competing in high school sports last year. In the past few years in Grand Island, Jim Ward watched every player on his oldest daughter's middle school team quit basketball in high school, either to focus on another sport like volleyball or wrestling or because they lost interest. During that time, the high school girls team was losing games by margins of 70 points or more. The team lost 43 of its last 44 varsity games and has not won more than 3 games in a season since 2016-17, with its last winning season in 2009-10. If you're Grand Island going into Omaha facing some kids that are going to go D1, Division 1, and you can only keep up with them for the first half of the first quarter, would you want to play longer? Asked Ward, who serves on the Booster Club board and has a daughter on the team in 10th grade. Kelly Jeffries knows success is possible in Grand Island because she led the school to its only state championship in 1979 as a player and racked up 231 victories over 33 years as coach, before stepping down in 2012. But Jeffries said she understands the current struggles. When you're not really able to compete and be competitive, you can see why kids don't want to do it anymore, Jeffries said. That's not fun for everyone, for coaches and players and anyone involved. The problems in Grand Island and elsewhere run much deeper than a losing record. In some communities, it can be hard for girls to find opportunities to compete and learn the game when they are young. Many families can't afford to invest the thousands of dollars and countless hours required to play club basketball to prepare them to compete in high school, putting them behind in development. As teams get competitive earlier and earlier, girls might quit the sport if they are cut in grade school. Families in Grand Island who want their kids to compete at the highest levels of club sports must drive about 2 hours twice a week to Lincoln or Omaha for practices, and again on the weekends for tournaments if they are not traveling farther to other cities.